Welcome to Meet the Candidates 2024, a voter education program brought to you by the Shakopee Chamber of Commerce. My name is Tim Zunker, and I'm the president with the Shakopee Chamber and Visitors Bureau. Our hope is that these candidate interviews and profiles will help you, the voter, understand your choices when it comes to the 2024 election. We ask voters to arm themselves with the information necessary to make educated choices and to make casting your vote a priority. Please visit the Shakopee Chamber website at shakopee.org to find out more information about the upcoming election for Shakopee City Council. And at this time, I'd like to thank Carter McNew for joining us today. And please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, like he said, my name is Carter McNew. I was born and raised here in Minnesota, went to school at Iowa State, spent a decent amount of time at Iowa State involved in student politics. So I was president of my residence hall where I chaired a 20-person voting committee, got a Lifetime Achievement Award through the Inner Residence Hall Association, was a senator for engineers, as well as vice chair of the Public Relations Committee. I don't bring this up to say that city politics and college politics are the same, but I had a pretty wide range of people that I dealt with in very contentious conversations. A lot of time people were extremely passionate, so I'm used to dealing with people in this type of setting. In my professional life, I'm a mechanical engineer. I work in blood diagnostics in an FDA-regulated field, so I'm used to a lot of oversight. Government bureaucracy isn't lost on me in my occupation. I also manage all prototyping via 3D printing at my company, as well as I'm a member of the safety committee at my company as well. So I'm involved in a lot of different subcommittees and wear a lot of different hats in my general occupation. And I hope to bring some of that engineering mentality to City Council.
Great. Thank you, Carter. We'll get into the questions. First question is, why are you running for Shakopee City Council?
Well, I moved to Shakopee roughly 3 years ago. I just bought a house about a year ago, and the truth is I've fallen in love with the city of Shakopee. Shakopee has been a staple on the map for people of my generation for a long time. Most of our childhoods were defined by being able to go to Valley Fair, whether it was 5th or 6th grade or middle school graduation. And that excitement has extended into my adult life, whether it's the Renaissance Festival, concerts at Canterbury, Rhythm on the Rails. There's so much about Shakopee to be excited about, and I want to help improve that. And we are at the cusp of something really exciting right now. The city of Shakopee is growing. There's a lot of development, and I'm hoping, and I want to be a part of City Council in order to make sure that we don't grow too fast and lose our roots. Though I've only been in Shakopee for 3 years, Shakopee has a very unique character to it that as we continue to grow and invite corporations and large businesses and continue to benefit things for the residents of the city, I want to make sure that we preserve what Shakopee is as well. And I think I'm in a unique position to do that as someone with fresh eyes who also fell in love with the city from the time I was a little kid. It's always been kind of a place of wonder in my eyes.
Great. Thank you, Carter. What are your top 3 priorities if elected to the City Council, and how do you plan to address them?
My top 3 priorities, and I assume I'm going to be talking, these are going to be through lines for the rest of our conversation today. My top 3 priorities are making sure that our services are adequately supported and funded. Our police and fire department are in unique positions where we have, police are going to be dealing with this new ordinance where we are doing the entertainment district similar to Stillwater and Anoka. So there's going to be a learning curve for police when dealing with our change in mentality when it comes to how we're allowing alcohol in our city. This stems into a lot of different areas So being a part of those conversations is very important. And without being too scathing, I believe our fire department needs a lot of support right now. Back in February, there was an audit. I'm not sure how many citizens saw this, but in my research of deciding to run, I saw the outcomes of this audit, and it seems like there needs to be a long-term plan for the fire department in order for them to succeed. These types of issues aren't changed overnight. I hope to work closely with the fire department in order to make sure Shakopee is safe along with the police, because at the end of the day, the number one priority of a city is to make sure its residents are safe. The second main issue is making sure there's a larger push for transparency. Now, I would like to commend our city council and the city for releasing the program or the website that allows citizens to go in and plug in their property taxes and see where every single dollar they're spend on property taxes and where it's going. But my challenge is I don't think this goes far enough. If we're given a receipt of all the different things we're being charged for, but here, let's use an example. If you're being charged $100 for eggs, I would have a lot of questions. Was it 12 eggs? They better have been laid by the golden goose. We need to have a continuous process where we're auditing and giving qualitative and quantitative information to our residents about the services that they're being charged for, not just a price tag. Because without that information, how are citizens supposed to be able to determine whether or not they're getting what they're being paid, they're getting what they're paying for, and whether or not improvements need to be made? This would be an initiative to expand that very program, as well as cascade that to all city projects. This is a little bit what I was talking about before, bringing in engineering knowledge and a mentality into city politics. As an engineer, sometimes we try different things and it doesn't work. That level of transparency needs to be given to the residents. So being able to audit, whether it's a roundabout, whether it's a police initiative, and say whether we're on track, but slightly behind, way behind, or we actually made things worse, is, I think, an important step in making sure residents understand where their tax dollars are going. This could also bring new insight to us on, as I brought up before, roundabouts. Everyone seems to have an opinion on roundabouts. Some people think they're the greatest thing in the world. Some people think they're annoying and no one knows how to drive in them, and therefore they're dangerous. So if we are able to audit a project like a roundabout 5 years after and be able to prove, so what are the three things that a roundabout is trying to do? It's trying to reduce traffic. It's trying to reduce the amount of police incidences and moving violations, and it's trying to prevent, did I say accidents? Traffic, accidents, and moving violations are the three things a roundabout is trying to do. Now, if after 5 years we exceeded our goals, we should be able to say proudly to our residents, especially those who might be skeptical about the initiative to begin with, hey, we accomplished these goals and this is why we did it. If we missed our goals or even made things worse, I think the city needs to be held accountable for that. And we need to take that same mentality into all future projects, because national or state data or studies aren't necessarily true for Shakopee alone. They can help inform us, but every community is different. We have different needs than Prior Lake. We have different needs than Savage or Minneapolis or St. Paul. Like I said, these communities can help inform our positions, but I think we need to look at specifically Shakopee and take this engineering approach and be able to admit when we screw up. Now, the third and final thing that is most important to me is making sure Shakopee is affordable for everyone. There's a number of different initiatives in place that will be raising taxes. I want to really scrutinize where our tax dollars are going. I can't make any promises one way or the other on if taxes would be increased or decreased for any specific reason. But I think, especially with how the economy is going right now, a lot of people are hurting. Our daily lives have been kind of turned upside down by essentially food, and most of the things that we spend money on a daily basis have gone up by almost 20% in the last 3 or 4 years. So making sure that we really are aware of the decisions that we make with our taxes are going to affect people. And that also rolls into making sure that people of all different income brackets can still find Shakopee home. So people have lived here for years, and I want to make sure that people who have bought houses and may not be in the same financial situation that they were 10, 20 years ago are still able to live in those houses, or at least if for some reason they have to change their housing situation, there is a place here in Shakopee for them. So I believe that a healthy city has room for people on the super high end of the income bracket, as well as people that might not, or at least temporarily, or who have historically been on the lower end. I want to make sure that they can find Shakopee home as well. This is, I don't know how much more can be said about that. I can't make any promises when it comes to taxes, but I think it's very important for, as I said, not losing what Shakopee was. And part of that is the people who have lived here historically. If people want to stay in Shakopee, they should be able to.
Great. Thank you, Carter. What strategies do you propose for managing the city's budget while ensuring necessary services and infrastructure improvements?
As we had just kind of talked about with taxes, it seems like TIFs seem to be a lot of the conversation when it comes to financing projects or infrastructure. I tend to lean a little on the more hesitant side. Many council members have said that they can be great tools, but they really don't want to use it. I'm probably going to be much more hesitant when it comes to TIFs than a lot of our council members. That being said, I can't predict the future when it comes to different initiatives. There's definitely initiatives for TIFs that have made sense, especially when it comes to environmental cleanup, when it comes to the health and safety of residents. Now, full disclosure, I live in one of these TIF communities, so I'm directly benefiting from a TIF. So it is not lost on me that this might sound a little hypocritical. But in my time here, it's become aware to me that, the city of Shakopee residents are really starting to get put out by property taxes. It's something that's on everyone's mind all the time. And I think exploring other options might be the way to go. The TIF community that I'm in is in place until 2044, and making sure that when we raise taxes on people, that it's targeted for services that they use. Making sure that when something happens across town, it's mostly localized to those communities that are benefiting from it. I don't think any person in the city of Shakopee wants to pay for something that's happening on the other side of town. So just making sure that we're utilizing every single option before increasing taxes for the landowner or the property owner. Not to mention, I believe when we raise taxes, our property taxes, on the back end, it hurts renters more than it hurts property owners, because they don't see the benefit of increasing their property value associated with these improvements. So all property taxes trickle down to renters, and then they don't see the financial benefits associated with it. So I don't think it's great for property owners. I think it's really bad for renters. And to give my summary is, it would have to be the last option in my mind. I can't make any promises that it would never get used, but I would hope that we would look for other ways to optimize our current budget, largely through the initiative I talked before, making sure that we're only putting forward initiatives that are in the green, that are proven to actually accomplish what we're trying to accomplish, and shoring up excess spending elsewhere. Now, if that is outside our ability, and we've truly looked everywhere, there would be some pretty tough conversations. But I hope to find and make our current budget more efficient if possible.
Great. Thank you, Carter. And how do you plan to strengthen economic development to support existing businesses and attract new businesses to Shakopee?
I think Shakopee's definitely in a unique position where we have this large entertainment community. You know, we have the new amphitheater going in. That's going to bring in a lot of business. It's interesting to see that we have a large industry too. We have Amazon, we had Shutterfly, we have MyPillow, we have a bunch of different companies that have very large employee bases here in Shakopee, and I think those are great. But it's my belief that making Shakopee a great place to work for everyone is preferable than cutting deals with large corporations. Again, I can't make any promises to never have it happen, but I do have concerns that, and I don't know the full extent of the deal when Shutterfly decided to pick Shakopee, but my best friend's fiance lost her job in that massive layoff of over 200 employees at Shutterfly. And I think we need to really look at when we incentivize companies to come here, as great as it seems when there's a huge employee number associated with it, that it's sustainable. Because using, for example, and propping up businesses like Canterbury or Valley Fair or Bravi's or Badger Hill, which are in TIF territories, I'm much more comfortable making sure that these businesses are homegrown, who have deep ties to the community. And that's not just, a catchphrase. I think a lot of politicians can talk about deep ties to the community, but if these large corporations come here, get some sort of benefit, and then another city or another state comes in and undercuts us, we have these massive layoff swings. So making sure that Shakopee is a place that people want to set up shop here as the policy stands, rather than making special rules for corporations, I think is great. If Amazon wants to, run by the same rules as our local businesses, I'm more than happy to welcome them with open arms. And I hope to be a part of the conversations on making that policy so it is equally as beneficial for large companies and small. But I think when making the decision, if we have to incentivize one over the other, I think sustained growth, especially where we are strategically right now, with all the growth that it seems like is fairly certain, with all the the development that's happening. We have to be careful because when corporations or businesses come and either fail or leave, they kind of taint the land almost. It's kind of its own type of pollution. And this, I understand there's a lot of other examples of this, but the one that comes to mind is, Shakopee House taking over Dangerfields and now going back to Dangerfields again. It'll be interesting to see, and I truly hope that that business does super well. But I can't help but feel a certain level of sadness or grief driving by Dangerfields and seeing the parking lot relatively empty, or also the signs were on available right before they announced that they were shutting down. So making sure that we set up a scenario for businesses to succeed. And this plays into the innovation center that Shakopee secured funding for. So making sure that we give our business owners and managers the resources they need to succeed, because going into business locations where the previous business didn't succeed or went out in flames or developed some sort of reputation, it can be even more difficult, even with the correct business plan. So I think the city has a vested interest, obviously, without stepping on the toes of and freedoms of businesses to do what they want, but just make sure that the resources are there to help businesses in Shakopee, especially considering it's becoming an entertainment district. This is becoming part of our identity, and we want businesses to walk with us on that.
Great. Thank you, Carter. And how will you work to ensure transparency and communication between the City Council and Shakopee residents?
One of the areas I had brought up earlier is that continuous audit process of all of our projects and services, making sure that we take what appears to be this initiative to create transparency with our property taxes and really go the distance with it. I believe that when the city screws up, our constituency should know. Now, as an engineer, we don't get things right all the time, and that's okay. But if you continuously get things wrong over and over again, then you have a major problem, and then it becomes a point of either corruption or a point of pure ignorance, and those are the types of things that I can't stand for. Learning from your mistakes should be something that we all do. People in government are just people. There's not a special gene in us or them, or and just making sure that we approach our jobs as, or I guess what I hope to be, I'm not in the position yet, but I would approach my job with an air of humility. None of us are infallible. So making sure, like I said, with that initiative, transparency for the quality, not just the price tag on our services, is actively posted, as well as a continuous audit process. And then the second half of that is communicating, increasing our communication with our constituency without having a paper anymore. Things have changed quite a bit in the last few years. Now we have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. There's the main way people get their news is not through newspapers anymore. It's through social media. Now, I don't think anyone thinks a city's social media presence is cool. There's very little about government that really gets people excited normally. But I hope that as someone who is on the younger side, who grew up with social media, I can provide some sort of suggestions or counsel in making sure our message is out there, because currently it seems like, and I'll use two examples here. When it comes to certain policies, there seems to be confusion on what the city actually stands for. Now, the first example of this is THC policy. Now, it appears that the city has passed legislation or an ordinance that would allow our people to smoke marijuana in public without being criminalized, obviously within certain regulations of distances from parks and schools, which my personal belief is good. We should be allowing people to live their own lives as long as kids are being protected and withheld from it, similar to alcohol. But it seems like, and I understand that there's a number of different reasons why the city council has prevented more businesses from getting THC licenses, largely due to not complying with what the law actually is. But it is, when I go out and talk to citizens, constituents, business owners, there's a lot of confusion over what the city council's motives are when it comes to THC. It seems like they say or try and pass allowing people to smoke marijuana with one hand, but on the other hand, they don't pass virtually any or very few to CBD locations that aren't selling what people are looking for when it comes to THC. So there seems to be talking out of both sides of their mouth a little bit. I don't know if that's necessarily fair to the city, but what I can say is the fact that this is, I would dare say, 95% of the opinion of people I talk to in the city's thoughts is that there's some sort of moral panic when it comes to THC legislation. I think there needs to be very clear communication on what the intent is. If that means that individual council members need to be more public about what their opinions are, that's the route I would take. Not to mention, I would be very public if my opinion changed. One of the benefits that I have, having only lived here 3 years, is I don't have a historical backlog of everything that has happened. Now, some people might attack me and say that's ignorance to all the context, but the way I view it is I'm willing to change my opinion, and I want to be very public about what my opinion is at any point in time. So making sure that our representatives are honest and upfront about what their opinion is or intents are, I think is very important. And then the second example is a little bit different, but in a similar vein when it comes to affordable housing. I believe the Beacon affordable housing project that was approved in 2020, there was some concerns, and other committees were talking about possibly rezoning. I got this information through media, so there is part of me that is curious what the full story is. But when media articles are posted like this, accusing the city, whether it's city council or other departments, of silently changing or behind closed doors changing zoning in order to prevent low-income housing due to people complaining about their property taxes. I'm not making a statement on that specific project. Generally speaking, I'm for affordable housing, but I'm not entirely sure about the situation with that specific project. But the thing that I want to not criticize, but comment on is the unsure nature of what people's motives were. I think these types of conversations need to be happen very openly and honestly, whether it goes back to city council or get brought into an open forum where more citizens can bring up their concerns rather than using a secondary plan B method to possibly shut down a project. And like I said, there's intricacies of that specific issue that I might not necessarily be fully aware of, since I wasn't in these backroom deals that supposedly happened. So I'm more than happy to hear any comments on that in the future. But the point I'm trying to make is I want our motives to be very obvious to our constituents, rather than a Facebook post or a media post declaring that we believe one thing when we don't. So more transparency is what that would be the goal of. So
great. Thank you, Carter. That's our question. So I'd like to give you an opportunity to give your closing statement and message to the voters.
Thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. Over the last few weeks as I've been campaigning, I've been blown away at how much I've learned and the people I've talked to. So I want to thank everyone that I've interacted with. This has been a very eye-opening experience. I've hoped I've at least intrigued you enough to look more into me. I'm still setting up social media, but I don't have a team. So what you can do is you can contact me directly. I have an email at electmcnew@gmail.com. I will be the one responding to you. And if you have any concerns, please bring them forward to me, because I'm so passionate about trying to learn what actually citizens care about. So I appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Carter. The views expressed in these interviews are those of the candidates, not those of the Chamber and Visitors Bureau. The Chamber is sponsoring these interviews as a service to the community and has gone to great lengths to ensure the objectivity. The Chamber does not endorse any candidate, but seeks to provide you, the citizens and voters of Shakopee, with the information you need to make an informed choice. The Shakopee Chamber and Visitors Bureau extends a sincere thank you to the candidates. Thanks again, Carter. We appreciate your time and your service to our community by running for office. You're performing an important service to us all. Again, thank you for joining us for this edition of Meet the Candidates 2024. Thanks, Carter.
Thank you.